Now to our exclusive interview with President Obama. The president's push for sweeping criminal justice reform brought him here to Newark this afternoon, where he met with clients at an addiction recovery house. The president, who has been calling for reduced prison sentences and diversion programs for nonviolent drug offenders, visited Integrity House to highlight their work in helping formerly jailed offenders re-enter society. Criminal justice reform enjoys rare bipartisan support in Washington. After his visit, he sat down with me to talk about what's at stake. You take out one of the underpinnings of justice, which is deterrent, when you say no jail or diversion or shorter sentences. Are you afraid it could send the wrong message?
Well, actually, nobody's talking about no jail in all circumstances. The question is just, how do we go through the various levels of the criminal justice system and tailor it so that we are getting the best results, which are safe streets and a reduced incarceration that results in us as a society spending $80 billion a year. And some of it's necessary. I've said repeatedly, if you've got violent criminals out there, they need to be incapacitated. They need to be taken off the streets. And nobody's more invested than I am in continuing the trend towards reduced crime.
Almost every time you speak about criminal justice reform, you ultimately note that the system is unfair to Black and Hispanic boys and men. And I wonder if you could explain a bit more specifically. You're talking about the point of arrest, the interactions with police, or within the court system?
Pretty much up and down the line, what we see is disparities in how white, Black, Hispanic suspects are treated. Higher arrest rates, tougher sentencing, longer sentences. Where it's happening, you can't always isolate within the system. There may be subtle biases that take place. There may be predispositions that end up resulting in these disparities, but we know they're happening.
Your own FBI director has raised this idea of the Ferguson effect, that police officers may be laying back a bit. They don't want to end up on somebody's camcorder, and as a result, we're seeing a spike in homicides in some cities. Do you fear that could undermine, derail what you're trying to do right now?
Well, what is absolutely true is that we have seen some spikes in violent crime in some cities. Overall, the violent crime rate is still near the historic lows. We've seen a spike in some cities this year, but it's still close to the historic lows.
But is it some of it, you think, a chill that police officers are feeling?
You know, we have not seen any evidence of that. And I think the FBI director would be the first to say that he's heard anecdotal suggestions that may be happening in selective sites, but we don't know.
So many hopes and aspirations were placed on you as the first African-American president. As you approach this area of criminal justice reform, is this, in your mind, your defining moment that would seal the legacy of what we would expect from the first African-American president?
You know, this is something that's important to me. You know, one of the things that I've consistently said as president is that I'm the president of all people. You know, I am very proud that my presidency can help to galvanize and mobilize America on behalf of issues of racial disparity and racial justice.
We haven't heard from you since last Friday when the decision was announced to put a small number of U.S. Special Operations forces on the ground in northern Syria. Many will look at it and say, you've broken your promise about boots on the ground. Have you?
Well, keep in mind that we have run special ops already. And really, this is just an extension of what we were continuing to do. We are not putting U.S. troops on the front lines fighting firefights with ISIL. But I've been consistent throughout that we are not going to be fighting like we did in Iraq with battalions and occupations. That doesn't solve the problem.
Tomorrow night, part 2 of our interview with the president, a year out from the election of his replacement. Our conversation about the 2016 race and what he thought about Republican reaction to last week's debate on CNBC. That's coming up tomorrow here on Nightly.
Hey, NBC News fans, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here. and then click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.